What's happening, fellas? Ken Sr. coming at you live here from the World Center of Racing here at the Daytona International Speedway. I'll take you outside, show you the view in a minute. We're sitting inside our tiny home, tiny camper here. We're camped out in the infield for the entire week. Have been having a great time. Unfortunately, it started raining out today, so we've been stuck inside part of the day. I hope you've been enjoying the videos. We've been putting out tons of videos of all the events. There's still a lot more to come. We got the Bagger Racing League, the Daytona 200. We also have the Volusia County flat track races, and of course the Day in the Dirt down south coming up. So it was raining. I was getting a little depressed about the rain today. I was kind of bummed. We went food shopping, and I saw on the shelf the new issue of Motocross Action, and it inspired me to want to share with you what I found inside of here. But on the cover, they got a shootout of the 3 Austrian made 125s versus the YZ 125, and also a shootout between the KX 500 and the CR 500, which is kind of cool that they're getting this kind of press here. They did a epic battle of the old iron here. Darrell Ekman wrote the article, and who's a self-proclaimed KX guy, and at the end of the article, I'll go cut right to the chase. He chose the CR 500 as a moto weapon of choice for the same reasons I've been saying why we're riding them. And also on the American Motorcycle Association magazine, this month's issue, on the front cover, they've got a H2 750 Kawasaki, and on the inside, right in the middle of the centerfold, they have an H1 500, which we have one up for sale on eBay right now. We're having this month's auction to support the museum and Kaplan Cycles. 86 bikes were so the bike auction is ending, I think tomorrow. Most of them are ending, but check that out at kaplancycles.com. But the reason I mention that is we have a lot of two-strokes for sale on there, and they're getting tons of coverage in the magazines. And the American Motorcycle Association talked about, well, on the front cover, the H2 750, they had the H1 500 in the middle, and they had a big article on the RD 350. We got a pristine 3,000-mile RD 350 we're going to be going through, and we'll have a video of for you before long. It's cool to see the vintage bikes getting this much press, and they had the vintage. You saw the videos of the vintage races we had here at Daytona. It was just awesome. And Saturday morning they're doing a two-stroke class at, a vintage class at 8, and then the two-stroke class at 8:30. Saw some killer footage from Day in the Dirt down south, so stay tuned for that too. Got a real busy schedule the next few days. We're covering the Bagger Racing League, the Daytona 200 by Moto America, the Day in the Dirt down south, and also the Volusia County Fairgrounds half-mile flat track. So lots of good footage to come. We've probably put up, 20 videos on the Kaplan America channel, and probably 6 or 7 on the Kaplan Cycles channel. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while and watched a lot of our videos, you probably already know that this is one of my favorite weeks of the year, the Daytona Bike Week. Before I retired from the computer industry, 25 years in the computer industry, I would bust my ass year-round knowing, and all winter long knowing, that I'd be down here for Bike Week, take a couple weeks off and come down here. And I saw Bike Week grow to 500,000 people, and then I saw it in the 2008 with the recession, and then the AMA pulling out of supporting the Daytona 200. I saw things go downhill for Daytona as far as an attendance standpoint. And then, of course, we had the COVID-19 shutdown order, but everybody got kicked out of here. We're all camping here 2 years ago, and they shut the event down halfway in the middle of it and sent everybody home. The year after that, last year, the attendance was down. But this year, after 31 years of coming here, I think it was the biggest attendance I'd ever seen at the Supercross. The Supercross racing was absolutely amazing. The amateur Supercross was huge. They had 1,300 riders signed up. Just to put that into perspective, Loretta Lynn's, which is one of the biggest, caps it at 1,200, so they never have more than 1,200 riders. There were 1,300 riders and their families here. Saw a lot of kids on P-dubs riding around, and little 65s, and mini bikes riding around the pits, and bicycles, and families here with pools set up and camping out for the week right here. And if you ever come down here, you can camp out right inside of the International Speedway. That's where we are. We're in right where the NASCAR, in the middle of the Daytona 200 NASCAR track, which is obviously where they run the Daytona 200. They have full hookups, or you can tent camp. I've tent camped here. They charge like $50 to tent camp for the week. It's dirt cheap. The hookups obviously are more expensive for electricity, but you can stay right here and this is ground zero of all the events. You've got the Supercross, you've got the Vintage Motocross, you've got the ATV Pro Racing, which we already covered. You've got coming up the Daytona 200. You've got the Bagger Racing League and the Hooligan Racing on the banks of the speedway here. So, and right outside the other side of this is the International Motorcycle Show. So all the manufacturers are here. You can fly in to the Daytona International Airport, which is right over there, about a half a mile. Walk here, hand your license to Harley Davidson, and they'll give you a brand new, any new Harley you want to ride around 15 miles around the stadium, which is a 15 minute ride. It's probably 5 miles, but it's an absolutely incredible experience. Not just Harley, Honda, Kawasaki, Suzuki, Yamaha, BMW, they're all here. And I didn't see a factory presence here with KTM or the Austrian manufacturers, Gas, KTM or Husqvarna. I'm not sure why they don't have a presence here at the show, but hopefully next year they will. As far as the event, it is everything. The International Motorcycle Show is everything from mini bikes to the biggest touring bikes. About 10 miles north of here, there's a Destination Daytona. I've done a video on Destination Daytona, which is the world's largest Harley Davidson event I've ever been to. As far as all the manufacturers being there in one spot, it's absolutely incredible. Everybody's there, A to Z, that provides parts and accessories for Harleys. You can get a turbo from Trask Turbo. You can get a header from Vance & Hines. You can get Performance Machine wheels and brakes, all installed while you wait. Big bore kits. Rockford Fosgate was there. You get a stereo upgrade, so it's like an ultimate candy store for Harley riders. And if you want to ride 11 miles on the beach, you can do that. They have campgrounds that are waterfront. We're only about an hour from Disney World and about an hour from Orlando Speed World, where they had the drag races. They had the Man Cup Saturday. We were supposed to go cover it, but Tony Johnson's bike blew up. We were going to sponsor him for the event, and unfortunately he threw a crank, so he didn't make it to the race day. But next year we'll be down here. So you've got a little bit of something for everybody. There's the Main Street scene. I've got some cover videos of that to check out. Lots of great cigar shops here. So I went and picked up this. I always ask when I go to the cigar shops, I ask the people that work there, what's your favorite cigar? And trying this new brand here with a fresh Coke soda. So we were, Junior and I were supposed to be at the Sand Mountain SM22 event this weekend, but the EPA got involved. It's a world's largest 500cc two-stroke hill climb event. They had over 100 contestants last year, and I am the reigning 2021 world champion Sand Mountain Fat Bastard class. Doesn't sound very prestigious, does it? But that's the heavyweight class, and champion. So I was going to go defend my prestigious title there this year on the Ben Probst Dr. Dyno 72 horsepower CR500, but the EPA canceled it, so we would have been flying out. I think tonight was what we were scheduled to fly out to get there tomorrow and do the race and then come back for the 200, but that didn't pan out thanks to the EPA meddling with all the fun those guys are having at Sand Mountain. Tom Nelson and his brother and all the guys there, Ben Probst, they put on a hell of a show. If you ever get a chance to go out there to the SM23 Sand Mountain, Nevada hill climbs, it's like 500 paradise. It's absolutely incredible. Got a ton of videos on the channel of that too, if you want to see what that's all about. Christy and I have been down here for a couple months, living in our little tiny home camper here, she calls it. It's a little 20-foot, not even 20 foot, yeah, 20 foot, including it's 12 foot on the floor and 8 foot with the bed up there, so it's pretty small, but it's been working for us. And she just made me a nice burger on the grill here. We've been traveling around the south here, met some really cool people. Jeff Castine, the Manic Mechanic, was with us. We haven't made it public yet, but when he's ready, he had a little accident, broke his hip and his shoulder and his back, but he's up and walking and doing okay. We'll have a video about that at some point, but they actually have the video of his little accident too that we can include. But it's been, other than Jeff getting hurt, it's been a successful trip. We've bought 85 motorcycles so far. Last year we bought way more than that. We bought over 200 bikes on the trip down here. Unfortunately, there aren't as many bikes available, and everybody wants like $5 grand for rad ass bikes that need a total restoration. So It's been tough to find bikes that we can buy reasonably priced. Just dropped the Tamari soy sauce here, but I'd consider it a successful trip. We got some real nice bikes, some primo bikes, some nice collections, and next month's auction should be great. This is my favorite, sea salt. It's really good. Homemade Christie burgers. So that burger was absolutely delicious, and we've been eating really good cooking out on a barbecue. But last night I went out to dinner with Kenny and Taylor, Shaylin, Chrissy, and I all went to dinner, and it's just really warms my heart to see my kids having as much interest in this sport and industry that I love so much. It's such a big part of our lives, obviously. You know that Junior runs the shop. He's the first point of contact when people buy a bike or when people want to sell a bike. Him and Billy. Billy Blythe is here with us also. He was supposed to go to dinner with us last night, the Professor Billy. But it was starting to rain out, and he was on his Cowie. He didn't have a car, so he wanted to get home before it started raining. But anyways, you may or may not know my daughter Taylor. If you watch the channel a lot, you do. But super proud of her. She's the Parts Unlimited social media manager, so she's down here going to all events. Tomorrow morning she's meeting Corey Hart at the Bruce Rossmeyer's Destination Daytona Drag Specialties booth to do some social media videos with him. And she's also the 2022 VP spokesmodel, so she'll be on the VP calendar. She's got her own calendar out. She's a model, but she's also more knowledgeable about motorcycles than 90% of the people I know. She's grown up, lived, eat, sleep, and breathes motorcycles since she was a kid, and now she's working for Parts Unlimited and VP. She also was the Gas Motul spokesmodel at the Anaheim 3 round. She works with the Gas Motul team and VP and Parts Unlimited. She's worked for Honda, so she's got more connections in the industry, I think, than I do. With the AM, she knows all the guys from the AMA, and just really proud of her that she's made this sport. She's going to start a podcast pretty soon, so I'm really proud that my kids are into the sport as much as we are. My youngest daughter, Jordan, which you guys probably haven't seen much of, has won 4 championships racing dirt bikes in the 4 to 6 class when she was little. Now she's like 17 and off doing her own thing right now. I don't see too much of her, but I'm sure that awkward stage will change, and she'll come back and be a part of the family passion for motorcycling. Yeah. Jordan's a teenager, senior in high school, and she's super busy doing her thing. She's not available to go to these events like us because she can't get out of school, but I'm sure when she graduates and has the time, you'll see more of her. Look at this lighter. Chrissy bought, it's like a freaking torch. It's by a company called Acid that makes pretty good cigars, but look at this thing. It's nasty. Oh, that leads me to my next thing I want to tell you guys. A little safety talk here. Oh God. We nicknamed Junior Safety Town when he was a little kid. It's another long story, but we were at the Vintage Supercross 2-stroke event at the Speedway yesterday, and Junior did really good. He whole shot a bunch of events. He got on Racer TV, ended up having some technical difficulties, but we had the generator running in the back of the truck here, and let me show you something. You got to see this.
Just so you guys can get an idea. You got to hold it up close.
Christy made this graphic right here.
Take a close look.
Her art is her stress relief. When you look closely, you see black top, you see a can of VP, you see the sun, and you see my head blown off right there. Well, that damn near about happened. I've never seen nothing like this in my entire life. The can was there was a generator running next to the can. It was actually in the back of the pickup truck, and the generator fumes or exhaust must have made it super hot. And I noticed the can was like swelling. So I hopped up in the back of the truck and I opened I moved it away from the generator and opened the cap a little bit, and it was going psh, like that. I knew there was pressure in it, so I placed it in a safer spot and proceeded to slowly remove the cap, and the thing went boom, and it blew off, and a freaking geyser of VP Racing Fuel went right into my face and shot straight up into the air at least 20 feet. And at that point, I was blind. I couldn't see anything. I was like, I'm going to die. The generator's running. This is going to blow up. Christy and
Taylor and I were in the camper, and we thought it was raining out. That's how much fuel was.
I grabbed
it was raining.
I grabbed the can, and the kids were at the window. Christy was handing them sandwiches out the window here, and I'm holding the can in the back of the truck, and I couldn't see a damn thing. And I'm holding it with two hands, like pointing it that way, going, it's going to blow at any second because the generator's going to ignite it. Oh, by the way, I was smoking a cigar, and I had left the cigar roach lit
on the tire.
On the tire, it was still smoking. I was going to have another puff off of it, and the fumes were shooting. I'm going to say a good 15-20 seconds until the can stopped shooting, and I like blacked out. I don't really know what happened. I guess I when I say I blacked out, like I was in a panic. I was like, we're all gonna die. This is not gonna look good. We're gonna blow up here at Daytona, and
with a bang.
With a bang, yeah. Sure. So it's just so that sticker, Chrissy's gonna actually print them. And we'll
have those for sale.
Yeah, that's at some point. Speaking of, so that's a safety public announcement for the day. Generators, blacktop, fuel and heat do not go well together. It could have been, we could have died, seriously.
Yeah,
and
it was not good.
If you saw the mud from the race, my boots were covered in mud. I mean, like 5 pounds of boot around. I was like, I had weights on my shoes, and Chrissy keeps the camper immaculate, you know.
Yeah, so, it wasn't immaculate after we rushed him into the shower to flush his eyes out.
Yeah, I was in the shower with my shoes on. There's mud everywhere on the way in, and Junior had his riding gear on. He jumped into the back of the truck to the brand new 2020 F450 and got mud all over the back of the truck and on the side of the truck, and the can was sitting on the blacktop.
A white interior in the camper.
Yeah, so it was an absolute shit show. Another YouTube channel that I forget the name of it, but they had a similar situation with a generator actually asphyxiating them. The generator fumes. They were camping out, and the person next to them camped about 8 feet away, and their generator was hitting their camper, and it actually killed their dog. Their dog died, and they both got carbon monoxide.
He was in the hospital.
Yeah, he was in the hospital with carbon monoxide poisoning. So maybe there's another sticker for that she could make, but we will be producing those stickers at some point. And we mentioned for sale. Christy, you want to tell them about your plans for the graphics yet? No?
Not yet.
Not yet. At some point, we'll be selling the graphics that she's doing, but she's got some behind-the-scenes work she wants to get done first. So back to the original inspiration. I don't know about you guys, but if you're older like me, you've been reading magazines since you were a kid, right? When I was a little kid, I'm talking 5 years old, I used to sit up at night and read the dirt bike magazines, and I don't know if a Super Hunky was writing the columns back then, but I was a pretty good reader at a young age, so I used to read them cover to cover, time and time, and it just brings me back. It's like a total flashback, reading the magazines and pulling this off the stands today and opening it up and seeing in here my favorite bikes. It says, it is surprising, but 500cc two-strokes have gotten more recognition over the last 5 years than they have in the past 3 decades. Why? There is a two-stroke revolution happening around the world. Every time production is halted on a two-stroke model, it instantly becomes a hot commodity. Well, I don't know about instantly. It might have taken a couple decades, but at this point, the 500s, the prices are going through the roof. Like I said, people are asking $5 grand for basket cases, and restored ones are bringing north of 10 all the time. But the case in point here was he wanted to do a shootout between the two, and that's what he did. He goes on to say, even to this day, the YZ125 and YZ250 have been my bikes of choice out of the MXA arsenal. Nothing about a four-stroke has surpassed the fun factor of these bikes. It's shocking that these bikes with such old technology could still be so good. I never got to race a stock production 500cc machine, as the AMA 500 National class had been phased out long before I turned pro. And he says here, the first time I saw one being raced in the pro class was at the 2004 Mammoth Mountain Motocross by a guy named Richie Owens. He hole shot all the fastest 450cc four-strokes by a mile on the long uphill start at Mammoth. It was incredible. The old iron looked ancient in comparison to the new age thumpers at the time. He says here, my second contact with a 500cc machine was when Kurt Caselli coaxed me into racing my Honda CRF 450 in the open pro class at the Atalanta Grand Prix, which was the scariest race I have ever done. I somehow led the entire first lap until a factory Kawasaki rider named Brian Brown passed me on a KX500 like I was standing still on a rough 5th gear straight. I was going so fast that it was unimaginable that anyone could go faster, but when Brian passed me, the draft of his KX500 nearly pushed me off the course. he won. I finished a terrified second place. And he goes on to say that the first time he tested a 500, he said, it was one of the most fun days I've ever had on a dirt bike. Since then, I take every opportunity I can to swing a leg over a 500cc two-stroke. This is from Daryl Eklund, a professional motocross racer who is also a writer and tester of motocross action, saying the most fun he's ever had is on a two-stroke, and he still rides a YZ 125 and 250 all the time, and he swings a leg over a 500 all the time. So yeah, I can't agree more wholeheartedly. So I'll get to the point here in a second, but he said the KX500 had a new motor, crank and everything. The Honda, he ran it with the 21-year-old crank in it, and he said it vibrated a little bit more, but that the Honda handled better. And he also said the Honda CR500 came in 10 pounds lighter than the KX500 at 238.2 pounds. He says on the dyno, the two bikes had wildly different power curves. The CR500 power curve was extremely short and powerful, while the KX500 was broad and linear. The KX500 was the power king on the dyno at 58.78 peak horsepower, beating out the CR500 by 4 horsepower. That hasn't been our personal experience, and we run probably 80 dyno runs on KXs and CRs, and ours were about 2 horsepower apart. The KX having slightly more horsepower in the stock configuration, but the modified CRs and the modified KXs, either one could be made to perform. The major difference in being that the KX has a power valve. Then he goes on to say here, for a 2-stroke versus 4-stroke comparison, this is where it gets good. The 2022 Honda CRF 450 offers the most torque for a 450 4-stroke made today at 37.13 foot-pound of torque. That means all the rest, the Austrian ones, Kawasaki, Suzuki, everything else has less torque. So this is the most powerful 4-stroke made, and we have one. We have a Works edition. Matter of fact, you can buy a ticket to raffling it off for $10, but it was 28%. He says most torque of any 450 made today, and it was 28% less than the 1994 Honda CR500. Can you imagine that? Now that's almost 30%, 28%, almost a third less torque. That's why the CR500s will whole shop the 450s pretty much every time, even though it's older technology, is they have more torque. And that's what gets the bike moving, and they have more, usually in our testing, more horsepower than the 450, usually 1 horsepower more approximately. Now, of the 4-stroke horsepower wars, the YZ 450 offers the most peak horsepower at 58.56 ponies. The CR 450, they didn't mention it here, but we dynoed it. It Works edition was 52 horsepower, which would be 6 horse less than the KX500. So, but the YZ 450 offers the most horsepower at 58.56 ponies, was edged out by the Kawasaki's 58.78. So the KX had more horsepower. This is the current edition of Motocross Action. More horsepower and more torque. And the CR had 28% more torque. That's a lot. That's a huge difference. Then he goes on to say that the riding experience, the CR500 had a lot more torque, which we already knew that based on our dyno reports. But he had his best lap times on the CR500 by lugging it around in 3rd or 4th gear, which is probably the easiest way to ride a 500. And that it cornered better than the KX. And basically that he had never raced a whole season on a CR, which I have back in 1986. In 87, I was on a CR500. In the last 4 years, that's all I've ridden, was a 97 CR500 on the track. And if you take care of them, get the cranks dialed in, they don't vibrate much. They vibrate a lot if you have an out of balance crank, or the pipe is loose, or the jetting's wrong or something like that. But if you got it dialed in, and he summarizes it by saying that the CR500 was the best bike on the track. And I'm going to speak out of school. I'll actually go to the actual line here. It says, "I've made no secret that I feel I was meant to race a KX500." That's in his own words. "So this is hard for me to say out loud, but the Honda CR500 was the best bike." So the CR500 won the old iron shootout, and clearly it will still outpower the 4-stroke, new 4-strokes, any of them on an uphill where there's good traction or sand. The CR500 will be the whole shot master. Can you ride it fast for 20 minutes? Well, you got to be in good shape. It's about the same weight as a 4-stroke. We actually put them on a actually we weighed an AF CR500 and a 2021, I think it was, CR500 AF and a 2021 Sierra 450, and we have a weight scale to weigh bikes in the shop, and they were about a pound difference. So the weight that was with no gas in them, they were about a pound difference, but you still have 30% more torque. It's getting hot in here. It was running cool because of the rain earlier, but it's really hot and humid in Florida. It could be 70 degrees out and feel like it's 90 because of the humidity. But awesome to see motocross action is still there. They got a great YouTube channel too, where they probably cover this in there also, so check them out online. And they got a shootout here of the 125s. I haven't read that yet, so I'm not sure who won, but it was KTM, Husky, and Gas versus a Japanese Yamaha. Well, I could ramble all night here, as you probably already figured out when it comes to motorcycles, and just grateful to be here. Have to spend another bike week, 31 years I'll be here, you know, spend the rest of my life going to this event, God willing, and met some really cool people. You guys that are supporting the channel, everybody I met here in Daytona that gave me a shout out and said they like the channel or subscribe to it or appreciate what I'm doing for the industry. Hats off to you guys too. I appreciate the acknowledgement and support. So if you haven't hit the like and subscribe button, please do, and stay tuned, because this is the calm before the storm. We're in the, I said today's like the eye of the storm. We're in today. Actually, yesterday was the only day that there were no big national events going on at Bike Week, and then today was supposed to be the flat tracks. But next few days, flat tracks, the road racing, the Bagger Racing League, and then the Day in the Dirty. So stay tuned. Thanks for the support. And if no one's told you yet today, I love all of you. God bless America.